What is one thing you're so hid from you until later in the relationship? When I was in college, I had no money and shaggy hair. So I was wandering around the dorms looking for someone who knew how to cut hair. A cute girl overheard me and said, "Hey, I know how to cut hair." She gave me a haircut in the hallway and then asked if I wanted to go to Steak and Shake. I said sure. It's been 13 years. We're married. And she still gives me haircuts. About 2 years into the relationship, she confessed that she had no idea how to cut hair but really wanted an excuse to hang out with me. She did it in the hallway and asked me to Steak and Shake because she didn't want me to look in a mirror and see the results. She's actually pretty good at it now, though. My girlfriend kept her dead sister a secret for 2 years. Her mom was very abusive to both her and her sister, but more so to the sister. That he knew my Reddit username and had been reading it secretly for the entirety of our relationship, 3 years. One of my exes waited months to tell me that her godparents, that she lived with, were actually her ex-boyfriend's parents. I actually didn't mind it until he moved back in. He could do magic tricks. We were together for 13 years and one day he pulls out a deck of cards and says pick a card. Any card. Efka got my card and everything. Just as smooth as can be. Never did it again. I found out that my significant other hides candy from me in her car. In fairness, she does this because she likes the occasional sweet. Whereas I attack a bag of gummy bears like a starved hyena. My GF swoops her hair over her left eye. That he hates sheets. About 4 years into the relationship he proclaimed that sheets wrap around him when he sleeps and he refuses to use them anymore. Apparently he's always hated sheets but just never mentioned it. I found out that she was married before, for a green card for him. She doesn't know that I know. I just found out that he's scared of snails and slugs after almost 13 years of marriage. Well, I'm the one that hid something from her, that I was a smoker. It got to a point where I'd hidden it that long that to admit it would be pretty much lying by omission. And I really liked her. And that's the story of how I quit smoking. It took me 4 years to tell my now wife I do not like my sandwiches cut in half. She still brings it up. So, when I was younger, my group of friends had this tradition of messing with people who passed out. Drawing on them. Stacking things on them, etc. Anyway, one night I noticed there were a lot of people passed out. So I started bingo daubing everyone on the forehead. Then I realized I was the only one awake. Not only that, but I had bingo daubed the forehead of a girl I really liked. I didn't want her to get pissed off at me for bingo daubing her forehead, so I concluded, in my drunken stupor, that I had no other choice than to bingo daub myself. So I did. Years went by and it was always a mystery who bingo daubed everyone. The girl I liked at that party had been my girlfriend for several years now and I finally decided to come clean. She thought it was hilarious. But let me tell you, that ink they use in those bingo daubers is really hard to clean off your forehead. That she liked the person I could become, not the one I was. After 7 months she told me she snores and talks in her sleep. Like I couldn't tell the first night we spent together. I'm going to ask her to marry me. Her farts make me laugh. My ex-girlfriend hid the fact that she was on bipolar medication before we moved in together in NC after moving from NY. She then stopped taking her medication. And then quit her job, leaving me as the sole income for the two of us. I was 23 years old. And this was my first long-term relationship. We broke up a month after she quit her job. That was a very long month. I was so hiding a secret. My now wife didn't know for the longest time that I didn't like soccer or football. When I first met her she had noticed that I came to class wearing 2 different soccer jerseys and thought I must have been a fan. They were both gifts from friends and fam who traveled overseas. She first approached me and tried to strike up conversation about it. Whenever she brought it up I tried to play it off like I watched a lot because that seemed to be one of the things she liked about me. The charade was up one day when I didn't know what World Cup was and that it was currently on. Still not a Trueborn fan, but I make a point of watching it with her when World Cup's on and cheering for her team. Q. See that ludicrous display last night? A. What was Wenger thinking? Sending Walcott on that early? Not me. But my parents. My mom told me a few years ago that on their first date they went out for pizza. My mom's favorite is ham and pineapple and my dad says, "Great. I love pineapple on pizza." Fast forward years and years of my dad eating ham and pineapple. He finally confesses that he hates it. He actually HTTYS pizza for 20 years instead of just admitting that he hates it. This was one of her life lessons for me when I started dating. I don't know if she hid it or just didn't discuss it. But I didn't learn of her massive student loan debt until we were engaged. I think people don't really discuss finances as well as they should. It is a touchy subject. Especially if you have a lot of debt in the first place. That he had been temporarily sent to a place for troubled kids when he was younger. As a child he had blown up in class to the point where he had been screaming that he was going to kill everybody. Context. He was a little boy from Taiwan who barely spoke any English at the time and had just moved to the US. Some other kid in class kicked him and he retaliated. Teacher caught him and he couldn't speak well enough to explain that he didn't start it. And was the only one that got punished. He didn't like that and started getting agitated, and when no one understood he began yelling what he didn't know how to say. School called authorities and he got taken away. Stayed in that facility for a few weeks being fed meds and all that. He told me that the only reason he was compliant in there was because he was scared he would never see his mom again. He never told anyone else because he didn't want people to think he was crazy when he was really only a frightened little kid no one tried to listen to. Dated a guy for 2.5 years and would never tell me why he hated Barbara Walters so much. He would even tweet her mean things once in a while. She knows what she did. My friend is dating a farmer. No, they didn't meet on Farmersonly.com. They did meet online though. Anywho. They've been dating for 5 months at this time and he refuses to take her to his town and meet his family because he's had a lot of girls date him for what he owns. He waited a year and had no problems and he finally brought her to his town and house, and his family is a multimillionaire family. They own like 15 farms across the US. Their houses are King mansion. She was super scared to be in the relationship after that. They're still dating but she tried to buy her own things and not depend on him and his money. No, they didn't meet on Farmersonly. He brought me to a house party just a couple of weeks after we started dating. He pointed out a young lady and said he'd been dating her before me. What he didn't mention was that he failed to tell her that the relationship was over. No wonder she was giving me the stinky all night. I'm also 99% sure he was seeing someone else before we decided to get divorced, since he was spending all his time at the place his new girlfriend worked. Furthermore, I'm 99% sure he met someone else before they broke up, several years later, based on how they met and when they started dating. There's a pattern here. The pattern is that my ex is a STTY relationship partner who exits a relationship, finds someone else, and only then does his partner know he's finished. Like a monkey swinging on 3 branches. You've got to get a firm hold on the next one before you let go of the last one. He liked to punch walls and himself when angry. Until we were married. Our disagreements were always discussions. Sometimes heated. Sometimes angry. But never violent, and always worked out to a solution in the end. It was great. It was the way adults should argue. The first fight after the wedding. He put his fist through the wall of our rented apartment. He also slammed his head into the bathroom door. Why the change? I've been holding back my anger. But now that we're married, I know you can deal with the real me. Up until then, he'd been way more angry and violent than I'd known about. But had hidden it during fights so I wouldn't leave. Yeah. Not married anymore. For many reasons. But one of them being that I never ever felt safe to disagree with him after that. I've been with my girlfriend for 3 years and she still won't tell me why she can't listen to Jimmy Eat World. The middle was probably her song that she shared with an ex. The other guy she dated simultaneously for 2 years. His father is the Red Dragon for the KKK. Which is a partial reason why he refuses to let me meet him. Why he didn't just say so to begin with. I have no idea. Oh, my parents? My mum works at the retail store across from the train station and my dad is a full-time racist. Deleted. That he enjoyed getting 3 previous exes pregnant. Abandon her and the baby. And just disappear. He tried to do that with me. He'll know. He actually bought his favorite sweatshirt from Walmart. At first he told me Costco cause he thought it made him sound a little classier. The funny thing is that it sort of does. My so suffered from psychogenic retrograde amnesia for 3 years. I met him in the middle of it. We were together for a little over a year and a half when the memories from the first 23 years of his life started to return. So, a lot. I made the mistake of agreeing to let her handle the finances since she told me she had experience in banking. I found out right before the divorce that she was racking up credit cards and would get balance transfers when she tapped them out on a new card and start using the old one again. When I found out, she already had 6 cards with over $30K on them. After the divorce I found out from one of her friends that all she ever did at a bank was being a teller. And only for 6 months. He didn't really hide it. But I never knew the story of how his first wife passed away until we were engaged. I only knew that she had CF. And that she died too soon. I didn't know that he came home from work, found her passed out and blue, and rushed her to the hospital himself, where she later died. He told me about it one evening when we were sitting in front of the Christmas tree. The whole story came pouring out of him. And I just hugged him and listened. His mother died 6 months after his first wife passed away. And to hear him tell it nearly broke him. I think it healed his heart a little to talk about it. And I know that it made me love him even more somehow. I'm just grateful that he was willing to open his heart up to love again. He is an awesome man and the best thing that has ever happened to me. Edit. Thank you for the gold. Kind stranger. This one is for Deb Hair. For Debbie. And for me. My SO didn't reveal until much later that a sizable inheritance came with the relationship. It was a wonderful surprise, especially because we were secure financially without it. This is one of the times that it makes complete sense to hide something from a SO. At least for a little while. Even if someone isn't a gold digger from the start. A looming inheritance can certainly change people. He can sing beautifully. We had been together for 2 years before I heard him actually sing. He would belt out random lyrics in the car with me in a fun, playful, not serious way all the time. The first time I heard him actually feel it, I was blown away. He has such a deep, soulful voice. Love him. Well, after 2 years my ex let me know that she liked women as much as I did. About a year and a half into our relationship I found out that my boyfriend actually does like Mountain Dew when I found a secret bottle. He said he told me he didn't like Mountain Dew when we first started dating because I didn't like Mountain Dew and he didn't want me to not like him. What a weirdo. That he was addicted to child pornography and has a sex addiction. Found out when a cybercrimes team AMD SWAT unit busted down our apartment door while I was feeding my, not his, daughter. I believed my wife was a broke yoga instructor for 3 months after we started dating. She doesn't do social media. Nope. Super hard ass corporate litigator. My now husband acted like he knew how to grill steaks and just casually grabbed steaks and asked me how I liked mine and then made perfect steaks. Then continued making perfect steaks for months. Then years. And I just learned a month or so ago that the first time he made steaks for me was the first time he'd made steaks in his life. He'd just studied up intensely because he felt that I would be impressed by him making me a good steak. I thought he had been making steaks for years to throw down a perfect steak like it was no big thing. But it turned out he did a ton of research and was sweating bullets trying to get it right. He's the best. My ex told me he didn't have a Facebook. About a year into dating, long distance. He was a suggested friend. It didn't bother me initially. Because it's possible he didn't use it or think it was important. Nope. He was very active with his IRL friends' family, some I knew. And listed himself as single. When I told him about it, he didn't give me a reason why. Just told me to deal with it. He didn't have a reason to go behind my back or hide me from his friends' family. It bothered me that the ones who knew of me went along with it. It felt like he was hiding something but I never found out. That was the beginning of our spiral downwards. Being long distance was hard enough. But he kept giving me reasons to not trust him. We broke up a year after that and boy, was it messy. Turns out we have pretty f***ing nice china. Wasn't exactly hid. But I was never told and never noticed. I was the one hiding it from I was about as deep into addiction as you can get. But was putting on a very, if I must say so myself, convincing facade of normality. Wasn't until random shit started disappearing from the apartment that I couldn't really hide it anymore. That was a conversation that will live in the history books. Same here. But it wasn't till after we got married that I became an opiate addict. It took a while for her to notice. But as she saw the bank account getting lower and lower, she did some investigating and figured it out. We're still together and I have been clean for over a year. Hope all is well with you. The year is 2015 and I had been dating my wife, then girlfriend, for about 5 years. I was surprised to learn she had not seen Tropic Thunder, so I instituted an emergency movie night. At the end of the movie, Tom Cruise dances to Get Back by Ludacris. Imagine my surprise when my wife begins to sing along to the music. Mothfkas and all. Believe me when I say that my wife does not look or act like the kind of person who listens to, let alone memorizes Zero's rap. I felt like I was sitting next to a stranger. My ex hid a lot of things from me. In order of him revealing them throughout our 5-year relationship. 1. Year 1, he was an ex-meth addict. 2. Year 3, he still occasionally put meth in his body. I thought he was just an insomniac. 3. Year 3, he slipped up with the meth due to an unclear undiagnosed personality disorder, likely BPD. 4. Year 4, he was actually married to someone else, though estranged for 8ish years. And 5. Year 5, although he demanded monogamy from me, he had a long string of other girlfriends on the side throughout our entire relationship. This was the relationship ender. Finally. 6. After our breakup, he decided he was entitled to the $5,000 I had lent him over the course of our last year together and would not be paying it back. 7. Also after our breakup, he wasn't sorry at all. He seemed to need to tell me this via email for the next 5 months or so. I am embarrassed at how long I stayed with him. Been free and clear for almost a year now and life is so good. That she enjoyed sex with men who were not me. She doesn't like Star Wars. To be fair, she didn't know till I had her watch A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back. She doesn't even want to watch Return of the Jedi. Lol. He's been doing meth. He's hiring gay male prostitutes. She had $50,000 in credit card debt. How much he hated my pillows. We'd been together for 2 years. 2 years. This is the same woman who will instantly tell me if she likes or doesn't like something. Love that about her. And then 2 years in, the topic of pillows comes up and it turns out she's always hated my pillows. I felt betrayed. His actual personality. My now ex-boyfriend hid the fact that he would hire male prostitutes to come over to the house when I played D&D with friends on Friday nights for 2 years. He also hid a coke addiction until year 3 of a 4-5 year long relationship. I helped him seek help and treatment. Which I found out years later he never stopped doing it. Even while attending classes and me being by his side. Turns out some people are just good at ignoring signs and stuff when they view life through rose-colored lenses. Stroke. Edit. I am a gay man. For those that are wondering. Edit 2. BoJack Horseman. BoJack Horseman everywhere. For a second there I thought the prostitutes were there to play D&D with you guys.